Bogus Basin has it all. At least it's easy to believe that on a beautiful sunny day like this one. There's something here for everyone, regardless of your age or your ability. But something this perfect doesn't happen overnight. And that's certainly been the story of Bogus Basin, a ski hill that got its start through volunteerism.
A group of volunteers came together and they came up with axes and hatchets and literally cleared the ridge and the bowl. They brought in tractors and people just simply volunteered.
Eve Chandler has a special connection to this ski hill. Members of her family were some of those early volunteers, and she herself has written about how a town of 25,000 in the midst of the Great Depression took an idea and turned it into one of the Treasure Valley's prime community assets.
And I've talked to many volunteers, and they always say, we love this place. You know, we grew up skiing here, or we have brought our children and our grandchildren to ski here. And there's a certain passion amongst skiers, and I think a lot of people see Bogus Basin as their own personal ski area, and they really do want to give back.
Before Bogus Basin, downhillers found their fun on Horseshoe Bend Hill. The open slope and man-made jumps fascinated the crowds and the daring young men with their long wooden skis. But this spot's low elevation meant short snow seasons. The skiers and the city fathers wanted a high mountain ski hill and the recreation and economic development potential it would bring. In 1938, they sent a search team, including renowned ski jumper Elf Engen, across the Boise front, from here to Pilot Peak near Idaho City. They chose Bogus Basin, named for an 1866 mining camp where 3 scheming prospectors hatched a gold swindle. Engen blessed the area's snow quality and exposure. Now all they needed was a way to get there. Groundbreaking for the road to Bogus was a well-attended event. Every prominent business and civic leader was there. And within 2 years, with the help of the Civilian Conservation Corps and a WPA grant, the road to Bogus was open.
The hundreds of people who use the road each day are entitled to something better for the gasoline taxes they pay on the miles they clock over the Bogus Basin Road.
But as this 1959 film clip suggests, that road left much to be desired. In fact, it became as much a part of Bogus Basin lore as the ski hill itself.
Oh, the road was absolutely awful. The road was a one-way road, and you drive up in the morning, and about 3 o'clock, they would reverse the one-way direction back down. So when you went up in the morning, you didn't plan to return to Boise until they reversed the one-way direction of the road.
The road was a mud hole, and being in the forest in Boise County and outside of Ada County, you know, who's going to take care of it?
Bill Everts served as Bogus's volunteer mountain manager for 5 years in the early 1950s, after it almost went bankrupt under management of King Cliff Corporation.
The first year I was here, I had the restaurant, and I hired somebody to run the restaurant. The next year I had the restaurant and the ski school. The third year I had the area. So I ran the ski buses and a ski school and the racing program, and I started that big ski sale that they have now.
That big ski sale is an annual November event. Skiers and boarders turn in their old equipment as they upgrade. They get a good deal, and the Ski Education Foundation gets a percentage of the sales. Bill Everts has been called Bogus's guiding light. His nickname is Coach. This lift is named in his honor. It takes beginners up the hill for the first time, carrying them to their introduction to the sport.
It's a healthy activity. It gets them outside, and it's something they can do the rest of their life. They can't play football the rest of their life.
Everts was the last volunteer manager at Bogus. In 1958, the community's board of directors decided it would be a professional position, an acknowledgement that the Hill was ready for the big time. And it was a full-time job.
There you go.
Thank you.
Have a great time.
Keeping the finances healthy while making sure everyone who wanted to ski got the opportunity. Mike Shirley is only the third paid mountain manager, after Bob Lowry and Terry Losfold. He's been at the helm since 1991. And like those before him, he's seen a lot of changes.
There has been a vision in the past, before I got here, of trying to make it more of a destination resort. But it turns out that really it is a more successful hometown ski area than it is anything else. The metropolitan area is so lucky to have this mountain up here, and it's a high quality mountain, it's a big mountain. Especially with the way the community has grown, we've been able to accommodate that growth. We are the close, affordable alternative.
That focus on the local market and affordability has given Bogus Basin much needed stability.
Have your passes out, please!
It's grown to be a $10 million annual operation,
3, go ahead.
employing about 600 full and part-time employees,
Come on out.
How are you doing?
not to mention 200 to 300 volunteers. It has the people and fleet of equipment needed to groom 67 runs and maintain and operate 7 lifts. It's easily among the 50 largest ski areas in the country, capable of handling 10,000 skiers a day. During the 1990s, annual skier visits to Bogus were flat. Levels hadn't changed from 20 years earlier, when the Treasure Valley's population was half its size.
Hi.
The sport was pricing itself out of the market.
Okay, it'll be 35 total.
Shirley convinced the board to adopt a radical new business plan. Its cornerstone, a $199 season pass for adults, cut from the previous year's $550. That drop was exactly the opposite of what ski areas were doing.
That pricing has allowed us to attract a lot of people who, but for that, wouldn't be able to be up here at all. I mean, skiing was not on my radar screen when I was a kid. And it's on the radar screen of all the kids in this town. We've got about 20% of the population who consider themselves skiers or snowboarders in various lifestyle surveys, and that's nearly 3 times the national average.
Season ticket sales increased almost 9-fold. Families were skiing again. Local shop sales skyrocketed. Ski Magazine called it the shot heard round the industry. And a whole new part of the community was now drawn to Bogus Basin. Through thick and thin, some community connections remained constant.
Okay, racers ready.
One is the Dottie Clark race.
1, go.
Each year it puts the crown on a season of races among the Valley's junior high and high schools. These racers look a little older because this is the 50-year celebration race, open to anyone who ever raced for their school.
3, 2,
Teacher
1,
Lane Brown has been involved for more than 30 years.
Probably the biggest reason I stick with it and was passionate about it was because the kids that are involved in the ski program are not your average student council, basketball, football players. They're the kids, the alternative kids that need to have some claim to their high schools and to their community. And that was actually the fun part, because they're the ones who are dedicated to the program because this is their one thing they can get a letter in or say they do for their school.
You talk to kids out of the Boise School District in the 60s and 70s, and they all say,
sports kept us out of trouble.
Mr. Rebel, you were so tired Saturday nights, you could just eat macaroni and cheese and go to bed. That was it.
And then they got to shop early Sunday and you did the same thing over.
Friends since childhood, Jane DeChambeau and Chris Long, take to the hill to race, but not to compete.
We grew up under this wonderful umbrella of Boise and sports and good parents.
And sports in the winter, I think I'm a healthier person because I know how to go outside when it's cold. You know, I think we're healthier. And our parents are that. They're in their 70s and they ski 4 or 5 times a week.
The Bogus Basin mission is about affordable and accessible mountain fun, all forms. A new lodge highlights the 37-kilometer Nordic trail system for those who prefer using their own power to ski both uphill and downhill. The tubing hill lets folks link up and make the ride down the slope a collective experience, with a helpful spin and a push from the lifty. The area also has a tradition of supporting groups that form themselves.
Okay, left side, maybe.
These are the Vertigals.
Oh, this isn't bad.
Since the late 90s, they meet Wednesday mornings and group up according to ability, from intermediate to expert, aggressive to relaxed.
We have young gals with their babies in daycare while they come up here for a couple of hours. We have grandmothers, we have professional women, we have retired people. Everyone tends to leave their responsibilities behind for a couple hours in the morning, and we're so lucky and fortunate to be up here enjoying this beautiful place. I think that's our bond. We always look at each other and say, this is better than doing anything else we might be doing for this couple of hours.
Okay, Craig.
That couple of hours of activity in the outdoors together is what motivates this group as well. They share a certain geriatric rather than gender connection. The prime timers, mostly retirees, also make a date to meet every Wednesday, break into groups, and make runs together. Bob Greenwood is there every time he can be.
Thank you.
After all, the Treasure Valley Ski Shop pioneer helped start the group back in 1986, when he'd close his shop in the middle of the week and teach lessons.
I wanted to get people skiing with people to get away from skiing by themselves, because it just isn't a good situation. And it really was worked out. You know, we have 40, 50, 60 skiers every Wednesday, and sometimes, and we have way close to 200 people signed up for it, but a lot of them are wives, and then a lot of them don't ski anymore, but they still like to hear about it.
Yeah, dude, you would never set your bindings properly like this.
At another time, another place on the hill, another generation is just beginning to live the stories they can tell. And they usually involve speed, or at least what feels like it. Youth racing is among the dozens of community affiliations with the ski area.
Stay on it, stay on it.
These skiers run the course in different ways, with different levels of aggressiveness and ability.
The instructors of our program in Bogus are wonderful about maintaining the kids' abilities and knowing what they can and cannot do, and then teaching them that and giving them confidence. Skiing some of the other larger resorts, you have so many people, and I think you kind of lose sight of what's important when you go there as a family, or whether you go there as a community, to get involved in the community. People back home are always talking about Bogus, talking about skiing, so it's good.